Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Reiniger,
Here.
Mr. Robinson.
Here. And Mr. Bland is on vacation over Labor Day. Excuse. Okay. Yeah, you got probably here. We should go ahead and the department heads do it. So
He is, so he, yeah.
yeah. Robbie, you want to go ahead? See where you got?
Have you guys got my email that sent?
You talking about this one?
Yes, yeah. We had a couple tip items, I wanted to put on the table. From the last one about the computer budget, I didn't, Mike Hill had sent that across. Get this on, if you got that or not. It was for the computers, for the new chief's office, for one of the tenant's office, and also the more of the quote then gave them was $6,019.74. I think we have that's the wrong budget. We use like 25%. Stays with that budget. Where we are under tip.
But I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My only question, I mean, is it pretty standardized? Like you wouldn't have a chief come in and say, I don't like this model, I want that, or a lieutenant or a captain or whatever the situation is, it might say, based on what I do, I need this hardware, this software, this, and do we wait or do we just go ahead and?
Well, the hardware and software can be added to Mr. Taylor. But the only thing they have now is like laptops and like saying, well, and all we're doing is Mike's getting the newest, tower for that, and it's like a 2-monitor system, so it's updated as we can. I know the other offices kind of use that now, my office got that. The system's office got that, and I think one lieutenant's office 7's got upgraded to that. Would kind of put us all in the same cycle. Every time we turn around, there's however long there's plans to release on the same page.
Yeah, it makes no difference which computer you buy for which lieutenant or captain. Just depends on the program. That computer.
There have been programs that we really use with Microsoft, Office. There's some specialized programs that we use for our CAD, for our treatment, stuff like that. Stuff like that.
And we did approve back in January $20,000 for computers and IT equipment, and then it's been $2,500 so far this year. So the money's in the budget, and really it was approved in January, but make a motion to go ahead and purchase it.
Second.
All right, Mr. Reiniger.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Thank you. We've got one more thing on the tip, and discuss a couple of other things. This is also approved at the beginning of the year. There's 2 test stands for 4 gas monitors that we needed to have at our outlying stations. That was set to do. We never got around to it. There was going on. So we'd like to be able to purchase those now. There's 4 gas monitors, which I know is required. They have to be tested every single day, calibrated monthly. And right now we have 1. And everybody's got to come to 7 you that we talk in, every day we get on with the equipment on the road to do stuff. Let's see if we can kind of get those into the stations where they're supposed to be able to try to give a test on that first station instead of driving around.
This includes the 4 gas samples also you tested on.
Yeah, I think it also has the gas that's supposed to be used for that. It's like a gas bottle. It has so many things. We calibrate it. It'll be what's in there, so you know the assumptions are working right. You can do that.
Okay, and under your 2023 budget,
Do we have an item for it?
3I Galaxy test stands. We approved $9,000 You're getting that pretty close.
Yeah, this one came with the, test stands and the 2 bottles of gas, which are like $300-400 a piece. Do that. Total came to 87.26 cents.
Question?
No, I mean, you're good with it, and this is something that was budgeted for.
There was budgeted $9,000.
This would take care of that, or as long as it's creating further.
No, not unless something breaks, but these are gonna be brand new.
Okay. Make a motion to go ahead and buy stands.
I will second.
All right, Mr. Reiner.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Last thing under for approval was a public ed budget that we had. It's some hiring that's coming up. And we use it for the school. We got all that coming up, but I think we purchased last year in October, we spent like $1,800 buying on the stuff that we do with public ed. And that week's coming up again, and it's like, it's about the same amount of money that we spent last time. It's just all we give out for the kids going to school, $100 store and day. I think there's somewhere you can see the hats and stuff that we get bring to the kids. And as far as next week, I think coming up in like October, just trying to get ahead of that and get that bought. So, and that is also on the budget. That is a line item. I think it was like 3,000, yeah, okay, 2,500. 18, 13, 33 is what the price is, and I don't anticipate needing any more until next year about this time. We gotta replenish your stock. So,
You only do this once a year?
yeah, well, I will say the last time we ordered was 10, 10, and 22. So it was about a year ago.
These are plastic hats.
Yeah, the hats, so there's like helmets, I'm trying to get like the pencils
Stickers.
and stickers, and
Magnets.
all the stuff that we give to
The
all the
kids
kids,
love.
like when they come to the station for, when they go to school, and also we had a clarity this week, like I said, and they got a lot more going on in that. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to, do we keep a inventory of that stuff for every?
Ashley, who does this, she would probably be the one to tell you that. I wouldn't be able to say.
So as long as we're not just ordering the same amount,
No.
we have this backlog, you know.
No, I think she really looked at it and said, okay, we need to have this.
Okay.
Amount more forward from here, and I will find out, and say that it's good to make sure exactly what. Yeah, because I'm like saying like you, if she's buying 500 hats, we got more. So, right, on the shelf, we don't need to buy. But I think this is probably, I mean, like the bill's supposed to be the same, I will find that out. So sure. Okay, this and next year we're gonna restock and buy it.
Okay with that. I'll make a motion to do it. On the last okay.
I will second.
All right, Mr. Reiner.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
I have it, but thank you.
Last thing is, we have an open paramedic slot. That's there, I've, put it out for hire for the Salt Journal. If we had one person.
How many were required? How many were eligible?
I think there was only 2 on this. Awesome, on part-time. Only 2 people that fit the criteria.
What was the other guy doing? With it?
No, he actually works, he's working IT or something. Yeah, he's full-time IT guy. He's with me, I started his career over. I so he went to start his career over at that point.
So Tony Lipp was the only one then?
Trying to go for the only one that applied, he applied in time, I should say.
He got it once before, didn't he? And he had the heart murmur or something?
Yeah, he did get, did get the full-time, was offered full-time, and, you know, of course, any offerings, all those things, your physical, everything else going on there. He did get past the physical the first time. By the time he did get his physical, he passed that, I think the township had moved on and already got somebody else to fill the slot. And I don't think after that, he had like want to say 2 to 3 more full-time promotions to paramedic. We didn't apply those times, so this was the first time he's applying since. They actually did apply once,
Is this a replacement for Feldman?
yes. So how do you feel, how we do about that, or would you have necessary people place for hiring?
We really basically what you need to do is just interviewing and testing, and then just physical. Okay, it's physical.
I guess, sorry, my only, are you guys recommending him? And by that I mean, I don't know his background, so
Yeah.
by me asking this question, I don't want this to come across as me saying that.
Yeah.
But if we have an opening, if we have one person apply, I just in generic terms, don't think that it should just be, okay, well, we have one person apply, we should accept that. If you guys are recommending an individual and say, you know, we feel good about that individual's qualifications, ability to do the job, and everything else, sure. And this is standard, this isn't about this situation specifically, but just general, I think, you know, there's, if you guys are recommending, then we can proceed. If you want to think about it, or in this and any future instances, it would be my stance to say that we don't feel like we have to move forward with something. If you guys don't feel good about that, you know, that candidate, then we can
Yeah,
continue to.
Well, I think in fact, he went through the entire process before that he got accepted, and then he failed the physical. So we've all looked at him before, we've been looked at him before, and they wanted him before.
yeah, and inside this, the competitive job insurance, you would still have to do, we would still go do his, all his personal file and certificates again. Years of service has been with us, I want to say 15 years, somewhere around that. You would still, maybe you'd have to take a written test and just see where I think it's doing that. But as far as, I guess, the SAG kind of spells out like you would do assessments, like every night, 2 people out of 10, you're testing everybody doing kind of presentation. I think that better than any employee should always have certification, hours of experience, discipline, and also interviews. We kind of say, well, I would say we recommend that would still maybe just be interviews as long as they're done by the name of the year. You guys to say, yes, he's good, or no, he's not good. He's the only one that we have to present to. And, I think the last one, we had to move back into the last year, I started talking about the National Testing Network. Because we're going to run out of applicants to be able to really at this point, if we have another paramedic lead, we probably don't have anybody else to apply into. And the National Testing Network allows us to hire a part-time. We also do a full-time process where we are not involved separately. And I want to say that that cost was like $750 for a whole year. I can tell you that our last hiring process, I think we spent more than that, just in hours coming in, just doing the process too. But this opens it up to everybody to be able to apply and test the fresh application out there. There's a lot of people who spend now bringing Harris and probably the high air, but it's just that system now. It's easier to train by every application.
But they only use it if they don't have somebody internally.
No, I think everybody's, I mean, we could even get to the point where we can even do that in terms of too, if we wanted to make them test that way. But I want to say everybody's pointing to that now, and I probably can really say, I guess, if you're going to have terminated with something that if you're testing everybody one way, everybody has to be tested that way. So okay, so if you're working here, you have to take this test.
Your part-time Ross are gone.
Yeah.
Just like Ben Feldman got hired full-time for Township. It's not like the Ross are part-time, so he was hired from outside. So that's kind of what the reality is at this point.
How How did he get hired there? Did he go through this natural process or did he?
Yeah.
He just did?
Yeah, he went through the national testing, and I want to say timeline was from the date of his testing until he was done, until he was hired. That was a very quick process. It was very, they do everything except for the, they even do interviews, but if you want to have your own can so they have interview questions, that's kind of great, that's great.
But what are you asking for, Robbie? You want to go through a process? You
I
want
want to say, yeah,
to
we want to
recommend
move,
Tony?
yeah, we want to move forward. Like I said, that would maybe like a written test, still want to do personnel files, still want to interview. You guys, if you want, and you guys can say, this candidate works, this candidate doesn't work. You know, but I know we're down a paramedic right now.
Yeah, because of development.
Just already. And, you know, we need to see if this one works and if not, if there's some awesome place to get that work. You know, that's still another, I think, Travis knows more about the national testing network, but it's more, I thought it's like a process, we put it out, so we can start getting things done.
But I can make a motion to go ahead and hire Tony at this time. He's been through a process. Well, moving forward as far as getting his physical and getting him tested, make sure he's okay. I mean, he's done all that before, he did okay. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been given the position before.
But just to clarify, you're just asking that we're not, we don't need to really even vote on you. You're just kind of looking for us to say, continue to proceed. with the process, sort of.
Yeah, because
It's not really.
we're in
We don't need
unknown
to
land
vote
now
necessarily.
of having one applicant.
Who's working on another job on his number, his shift day? He's working for now.
Nobody. So, no, I said though, because we're in unknown waters, have one applicant. Now I disagree, you would say, let's hire 10 minutes on, you know, that's. We still haven't got to any of this part yet, I'm to be sure that we're good with, you know, doing interviews, maybe the one written exam, the one that saying, hey, this is who we have, and it's past everything that we.
And we lost two part-timers, right?
Yes, we lost two, it's been two.
One of them
So,
moved to
washed.
One moved away.
Across the country.
Moved, and he moved to Arizona or something.
Yeah,
It was one Arizona.
and the other one, he grew up in Harrison, he went to Harrison, so about that, I worked for him. I really just didn't know really how to move forward with this.
I want to moving forward, he needs to find that position. I mean, he just said his position's empty, the medical position empty. And we need to move forward with it. I mean, go ahead and get his physical and see, you know. Want testing. And you know what, the chief's job was only one person, your job was only one person qualified. We've done it before. And he actually went through the process, he just didn't pass the physical.
Well, I set up an orientation when I sent out the posting was like orientation with like on the 12th, I didn't know she would be there. So if you go with on the 12th, I can set up a test with him, by that point, I need to do certifications, all of his files, and make sure there's nothing in there that's a red flag for
We
that.
don't know if he's any discipline or anything.
I wouldn't know until I got to his file, I don't see if there's anything.
I remember trying to get him this.
I don't think.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to do your due diligence, and look through it, and we'll revisit it whenever we see what you guys think. After you do it, yeah.
We'll have to start figuring down the road.
I think we need to have some other discussions, right, about how we're gonna handle it in the future and it is here, no matter it's police, fire, EMS, whatever it is, it's struggle. Yeah, and I was just talking to another city, and they said they usually get 300 applicants for positions that they had 5 positions to fill, and they had, I think, 8 applicants, and after they did the reviews, background checks, they only had 3. So even, and So it's not unique to us, it's everywhere. So,
First time I tried hiring Chevy, I took a test. That came in, it was like 300 people on job. I think you saw see that.
so we definitely have to, in my opinion, adjust, with the times and reevaluate our stand, just like everybody else is good candidates out there. But
Since he's the only one, I'll see if I can do it before dates, maybe by
Yeah,
in like 2 weeks, I'll be able to be able to do that. We'll see. See you guys want to get in.
anything else?
That's enough of it for all meetings.
Joe, you got anything?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Totally.
Hey, I have a question. Do we have we're down paramedic, is what you said, so do we always have one paramedic at each firehouse?
Yes, right now we do this.
But but we're down one, so one firehouse is lacking one.
No, he actually just became a paramedic,
Okay,
so he was like an extra. That we had, where we knew that's the way that was gonna run. So he left, put us right at, I think, right around minimum 12 now, Joe. But, 12, we have, 12 full-time, 12 slots for paramedic, and they're all full-time people right now. So, and he stayed on part-time, so he's gonna come back with part-time with us. Then we have 2 part-time.
but what I'm getting at is there's a paramedic at each station
Yes,
all the time.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're trying to hire a paramedic. We had a paramedic leave, we wanted to work to represent. Okay. Anything else?
That was it.
Board. Mike. Thanks, Joe.
This happen on this one. Well, I'm monitoring Joe Burrow's situation, so that once he signs that contract, he can just give us a small portion of that and fix all of our budget problems. Just not worry about
I tried running the path, but mine's no good either.
Right, right. There are some nuisance issues, and I appreciate Ms. Day helping me with that, but we resolved the nuisance complaint that came from 3069 Shady Lane. Contacted the owner, and all that has been completed. I had a complaint from 3110 Fiddler's Green, and I received an anonymous letter there, but no further action is needed. And there's a issue up at Rittenhouse and Cliff Road. Folks dumping up there on the 2 vacant lots, so sending them a letter and continue to try to stay up on all of these nuisance complaints that continue to pop up. North Bend Village reaches out to us each year and wants to know when Lane Township is going to recognize Halloween. And I think traditionally we've kept it on Halloween.
Yep.
Sometimes I know when it's a certain night that certain jurisdictions will consider moving it to a weekend day and everything, but this year it is on a Tuesday, and I would assume that we're going to have it on a Tuesday at normal times, and just want to be able to let them know that
16.
that's what we're going to do. So, any
What would that date be?
we need to discuss
31st,
31st?
right?
Please just check.
I know he was.
How's the test? I feel like she can. There you go.
I had a test today, real quick, you guys are like this, couple of kids brought this, he goes, you know that, the pool in the Titanic still has water in it? That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. And we all kind of went, huh?
Right.
All right, sorry.
Oh, you can. On a somber note, well, we got good news, and Cindy probably knows better than any of us, but there was a pretty rough accident down at 50. Some of our students and faculty, and sounds like how it looked, it's the best case scenario. So you guys responded, keep everybody in our prayers there. Station 69, Jack, you've asked about this, and I don't blame you, it's been long overdue. I had reached out to Dan Montgomery with MSA, and he apologized. He just got back to me recently and said that he had been out for a bit. But I had asked him about setting up a meeting with DER and Ron and our staff, and he said that it took a while to get back to me, but that he is 100% on board with setting that up. He asked if it could potentially be a Teams virtual meeting. My preference is in person if possible, so that we can actually walk through the station. So, but I did want to give an update and let everybody know that I had followed up, and I did hear back from him finally. So I will continue to stay on that and try to get that on the calendar and try to resolve that issue. My other big update, obviously, I let the board know that I had a discussion with Dick Rector, local business owner on the strip across the street, and some other members of the community. And frankly, they expressed their concern and disappointment in mostly generic terms. Obviously, Mr. Rector has been intimately involved in the process since its inception 8 years ago. But as far as the roundabout, and so I took the step of reaching out to county engineer Eric Beck, and I met with Eric Beck and Todd Long, who's chief deputy, and we revisited the whole roundabout. The fact that we've had already invested time, money, energy, and relocated some of the utility poles, and just put so much into this. We put it on pause where all indications are that costs of material, inflation, and everything else will just continue to go up. So if we pause it for 2 or 3 years, it's looking like it's just going to continue to go up and up, that price tag, and it may be even more unattainable. So with that in mind, we talked numbers, and they pledged to come up from their original commitment. I can't remember exactly what that was, but to 700,000. If we would match at 700,000, and then we would ask the OPWC in the grant to pay for the remainder of that. I want to be clear that there's no guarantees that we would get the grant. But we need, if we want to reapply, it has to be in the next couple of weeks, because the deadline is the end of September here. And we have to indicate to the county that it is our intent to move forward and reapply, and that we would be committed to approximately 700,000 if the county is committed to approximately 700,000. Now, obviously, the risk is that if it doesn't get approved, because we were asking OPWC to pay a higher percentage than we had previously. Sorry to get too much in the weeds here, but I just want the public to understand. But we're not willing. It went from 300,000 to 900,000. This is our portion, Miami Township portion. Went from 300,000 to 900,000 to 1.7 million.
I thought they wanted to put up $3 million and give us a credit for the future. Was that what they wanted to do initially?
Well, I think that was.
Yeah, we
never approved that.
Yeah.
But, oh,
Yeah.
no.
We didn't even, so what was proposed last was that it was, we would pay 1.7 million to
Right.
fill the gap. And our board said we were not comfortable, unanimously, we're not comfortable with paying $1.7 million. I felt like at 700,000, it was more reasonable, all things considered. Again, the amount of time and effort and everything that's gone into this to try to give this a chance to move forward. There's obviously no guarantees, and they can't predict from year to year, from cycle to cycle, what OPWC is going to approve or not approve. But I feel like it's worth giving it a shot, and that, we can reapply if this board decides to do so, and, see what OPWC comes back with. So
What do they think the total cost is gonna be then? Because last time we talked about that, I thought it's gonna be like $4 million.
correct.
That's still where it's gonna be.
Their current estimate is still between 4 and 4.5 million. They hope it's on the 4 side with contingency plans. They said that they need to give a window up to that 4.5. So if it's at 4 let's say 4, in general, if we're in for 700,000, the county's in for 700,000. You've got 1.4 between the two local entities. You have the state picking up approximately $3 million under that current application. And so essentially, locals would pay about a third, and the state would pick up about 2/3 of the total cost. In today, with the estimate for this year, this next year, we would apply in September. The last I was told was that we would hear about in December whether they approved it or not, in OPWC, and that then we would, if it's approved, then we would move forward in summer of 24.
So Miami and county would pay 1.4. The state's gonna pick up the 2.6 to go under the grant.
Yes,
And that's kind of what the state was gonna pay before with the grant, correct? I mean,
They were gonna pay
they're
50,
same
50,
percent.
30, and 20 as well.
well, previously it was 50% state, 30% county, 20% Miami Township.
And that's on 1.2, 1.4.
I think it was 1.4 originally. So,
I think it's much better than what we were just talking about 2 weeks ago.
now again, there's no guarantees, and I want to be abundantly clear about
1.7.
that, but I feel like it gives us a chance, and the hope is that with returning what was already approved previously with the grant. So we would say we're returning this, but reapplying. The hope is that they would apply what was already committed previously to, this next grant, and just consider whether to increase their contribution more. They also, obviously, it would help that we would say that this was our #1 priority when it comes to OPWC, which we don't have any other projects with
It's
OPWC.
also our number 10 probably.
Right, but putting it down as our #1 priority helps us as far as points, because I guess they graded and give, points, so that helps. But again, make it very clear that they don't control this process. We don't control this process. Ultimately, we put our best foot forward, and OPWC says this year we have X number of dollars to allocate throughout the state. And they said you never know from year to year whether they can put the money forward, and whether there's an abundance of other projects to be funded, or if we're not. And frankly, if we needed to wait until, maybe I should give this option, because they are looking for some direction sooner rather than later. We could vote on this if you really wanted to on the 20th, but that would give a very, very short window for them to finish. So they'd at least like some indication whether we actually take a vote and say it is our intent to move forward today, or at least some general feedback of likely or not likely, if you wanted to wait until Trustee Blanton is here on the 20th, but they do need to start preparing paperwork and doing all that if we are going to give them.
I think we were talking about it earlier. I think there's only been one record there in 20 years. one record that Joe Yanko said on it.
It's the only one that I ever.
That was 20 years ago.
I worked
Had a police car.
Yeah, police car, that,
But it had to be better than a traffic light. You sit there at 11 o'clock at night and
yeah,
nobody's going to get anywhere. It has to be better than putting in traffic.
I live over there, we're either Texas, it's everywhere. It's good.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's always been discussed as a safety issue, but I think there are other benefits to it, and that I think it could give a little facelift to the area, and keep things moving, as far as economic development, but just as far as traffic, you know, subdivisions are continuing to pop up, all around, so, whether it's at Zion or whether it's wherever, we're going to continue to have a lot of traffic.
I got no problem. You know, we're not really, all we're doing is committing the money if they can get this.
Right, we have to get the grant.
If they
so I
can't
say
get,
we
they don't
forward
get it.
the grant.
Right, so all we would be doing is voting or indicating that it's our intent. And I talked to Todd Long today, just to reiterate in case there are questions and just make sure I'm wording it correctly. That it is our intent to move forward with reapplying, giving that direction to the county engineer. And that in general, we are okay with that matching their commitment of that 700,000. And that once we hear back, like you said, from OPWC, then we can have more specific conversations and get down into actual, you know, contracts.
Tell me, would be a lot more enthused if you also include a turn lane and dog run.
Yeah.
Let's just keep going, Brian.
Right.
That's terrible too.
Yes.
It might say a turn lane, you can't get the light change, dog run.
Yeah.
Now, I see no problem with telling them we're committed to funds if they can get the 2.6 or 2.8 million, that's approved by the state. But they're not gonna do anything there other than roundabout, they won't participate in any other way. At least that's what we said at the beginning, very beginning.
Right.
Because the state wanted to go to all roundabouts everywhere. Do with it. Recognize turn signals.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, the other option is to just do it all on our own.
Yeah.
And pay all the bills and do all the, everything, and, so.
Is that new Quinn gonna be able to get around there? Because it's roundabout.
So, you look at that.
So we should leave the middle open just in case we can't get around and go over.
Just go right over it. That's what we do down there.
So I don't, yeah, I don't know if we need any vote or not, or if we just, I just indicate that there's majority of the board is.
Continue to work with them, continue to work with them and tell them before you agree to participate,
Okay, perfect.
so they can get their 2.8.
Right. And I think that's all I have. Yeah.
Yeah, I really never had nothing. Just like Mike said, the accident down in Cleve was really a bad one for. I mean, I understand that the young kid is doing very, very well.
Yeah.
She's out of ICU.
What is she?
That's out of ICU and even spoke to her dad.
One of them shoes.
Hollered at her dad.
Yeah.
She wouldn't speak loud enough to come hear her. He said the second time I asked her, she hollered at him. Big issue is still bleeding on her brain.
It takes.
Which would be an issue. But you got anything, Cindy, anything you need? Robert, anything else?
Is it the school doing anything for the Friday night game? For the kids?
I don't even heard anything.
Okay, I know our trucks will be down.
Okay, I had, honestly, I haven't heard anything. I know volleyball, we did something last week, volleyball, school volleyball, but I mean,
Any collection form or something?
or volleyball, they just came and supported. They're from Harris.
Yeah.
They go through.
Okay, anything else? Robert,
Oh, good, thank you.
Moreline?
I had one question. What is the process of us moving forward for a new chief?
We're generating we got the issue right now, we're gonna bring up when Dan gets back on the captains, fill the captain position, lieutenant position, then we'll probably go out for a chief. I guess you already went out for administrator, if they could.
I should have given an update, yeah.
I think that's now.
Yeah, go ahead.
And we're gonna follow that up with, we'll probably go out and advertise outside for the chief. You know, we might use the same company they use for the administrator agency, or we're gonna start that process, but we're trying to get the lieutenants and the captains in place first.
So you aren't considering anyone internal?
Well, internally, they can bid on it like anybody else, but we're gonna need some names. I mean, if we go out, spend 2 weeks, go by bids internally, no one's qualified internally, then you have to go 2 more weeks. So in order to expedite it, we'll probably go out, just do it after the locals can bid it, or the people outside can bid it. But we're generating a requirement, a job requirement, trying to get it where there's a lot of things in there, and the old one, swiftwater rescue, and hazmat, confined space, a lot of that stuff, chief doesn't have to be qualified on. We're trying to tweak it to a point where we can do a chief's job and not a captain's job.
And the second thing is we currently are looking for another administrator.
Dan, I mean, Mike,
Yeah, since I should have given that update, but strategic HR was hired at the last meeting. So they are managing the process, and so they created, obviously with input from us from our previous posting and things, a job posting for the administrator based on their expertise, and they put it on LinkedIn, on Indeed, and I can't recall.
We have an internal corporate.
Yeah, so, and then, yeah, it's gone out to their network, that they have of executive searches. And we also sent it to the Hamilton County, Township Administrators Network for it to be distributed in Hamilton County, as well as the Northern Kentucky, Administrators Group. So our goal is to cast the net as wide as possible and come up with the best candidate we can possibly come up with. And so they are doing the background checks, they're doing the initial phone screening of all applicants, and then going to give us a list of who passes that review process for us to look at, setting up interviews here soon, hopefully, moving forward, because we'd like to fill that position. And then my thought, and I should, if all the board was here, I figured we could talk about it, but since trustee plan wasn't available, to get on board as far as starting that search for the fire chief the next couple of weeks, so that the administrator may not have someone hired as administrator yet, but that you can still start the process and sort of have it going together, but just staggered a little bit, and then hopefully hire the administrator and then quickly hire fire chief shortly after that, so we're not pushing it out for. That's my thoughts. I was giving the whole board members.
So your goal, what you're saying is you'd rather see the administrator first, and then he would have something to say on the chief also.
Yeah, the consensus in all my conversations with other township administrators is that they feel very strongly that the administrator would want to be a part of the process, even if they're in the interview process, but maybe not from the beginning, but at least in the interview process, so that they have the same management style, the same approach, and make sure that they mesh well with the fire chief, whoever that's going to be, and that there's just continuity. So the other administrators in other townships felt very strongly that it was important to get the administrator on board first, and let them have a say decision of the chief.
The other thing, when I called up here today to find out about the correct time for the meeting, if I heard it correct, Steve, it still says Mr. Reed is our administrator.
Oh.
So kind of might want to take that off.
Why? Get blame it on him.
I don't have anything else, thank you.
Thanks for always coming. You're always here.
Right.
You're always here. I'm glad you take an interest in the township.
I do.
Anything else?
No, but I forgot, they were trying to name out. And one of the county or the sheriff's, right? Still nothing there.
Oh, the last thing he said, they was gonna reach out to Addison part of chief. And, then he was gonna get back to us after they saw we could get Addison on board.
Otherwise, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, Mr. Ranger?
Yeah.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.